Hey metalheads, you like tattoos? Of course you do. If you're in the Louisville, Kentucky area, come on over the bridge to Clarksville, Indiana, and get you some ink done at Ageless Art. If ink isn't your thing, they have a piercing studio as well. Visit agelessartclarksville.com to see some frequently asked questions, meet the staff. The shop is open Monday through Thursday, 12 to 8 p.m., Saturdays, 12 to 10 p.m., and Sundays, 12 to 6 p.m., all appointment-only spots. You can set up your appointments by phone at 812-283-1793 or email agelessarttattooandpiercing@gmail.com and someone will get you set up for your first or your next tattoo or piercing.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The Sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.
What's up, Metal Forge fans? This is Alan Bishop, the alchemist of Indiana's Black Forest and head distiller at Spirits of French Lick. Do you find yourself drawn to the unexplained, fascinated by the Fortean, or enchanted by the paranormal? If the things that go bump in the night resonate in your mind, then tune into my brand new podcast, If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything. Featuring first-hand accounts, collected stories, interviews, history, and speculation related to all things not of this world. Available now on Anchor, Spotify, Google, Amazon, and more. Set back, relax, and remember, if you have ghosts, you have everything.
Thank you for tuning into the Metal Forge. I am Mark Jackson and I am your host. The premise of the show is pretty simple. Awesome interviews and awesome music. If you want to contact me, hit me up at metalforgeradio@gmail.com or visit the website metalforgeradio.com. And now, let's get this show on the road. What is going on, Metalheads? Thank you all for tuning in to this week's episode of the Metal Forge. Oh my gosh, here we are in the holiday season. It is in full force, and you know, I am just not a big fan of this time of year. I love the weather, like I love the gloominess, the gloom and the doom, you know, all of that cool stuff. I like the foggy mornings, the drizzling rain and stuff like that. I love that stuff. I hate the snow personally. I grew up in a place where there was no real road coverage or anything, you know, no road service, I guess is what you could say, and it was always a pain in the ass getting in and out. But anyway, I'm already rambling on. I have Woody from Split the Abyss here today, and we're going to be talking about their awesome band and the things they've been up to and the things they've got coming out soon. You know, they started back in 2007. You know, at the same time Overload did, and it's like 15 years is a long time. You know, you go through a lot of stuff over that amount of time. I can only imagine what it's like for bands to reach, you know, 30 and 40 and 50 year careers and stuff like that, like Judas Priest, Motorhead, Metallica, the Rolling Stones, you know, all of those bands that have reached a pinnacle like that it's something that they've done for all of their life type stuff. So which is super rad. This week I do want to tell you there's not a Metal Mischief nor a Heavy Metal Wasteland. It's just me. You've only got me this week. Hell yeah. I still like doing these shows, but I do have some changes coming. I do want to go ahead and mention this because I believe Jason has already started to talk about this on his podcast, The Ale Horn, and I think we might have mentioned it on our joint podcast, The Mudhorn, which if you haven't really checked that out, The Mudhorn is a total nerd fest. We don't get together on a super regular schedule. We've mostly been following around things like the shows on Disney Plus, like the Star Wars deal, where they had Obi-Wan, they had Andor, Book of Boba Fett. We've been convening typically before a season and after a season is over and talking about that. And we did an episode here a couple weeks ago that was the end of Andor and the beginning of the Willow series. So check out that. We're going to put links below. But the point of bringing this up is starting January the 1st, we are switching over to a network. And it is going to be the Flamekeepers. And this is going to be an all-new thing where it's his podcast and my podcast under one banner, along with a few other things that are going to be coming out. You might see some awesome stuff like, you might see some special Heavy Metal Wastelands. You might see some special Metal Mischiefs on there. I can't speak for everything that's going to be happening, but we're definitely going to be trying to provide to you the best content available out there today and tomorrow and in the future. So I'm just really excited about this. For the patrons out there from the Patreon support, thank you guys so much. You've been awesome. I will be sending you guys a link to where you can transfer over to the new Patreon page where it's the Flamekeeper page. And pretty soon, we're going to be kicking ass, chewing bubblegum, and all out of fresh bubblegum. You know what I'm saying? That's fucking right. But I'm super excited about this. This is something that I've been toying with the notion of for a while, and I've also started thinking about trying to get the episodes in syndication somewhere. Now that we're over 200 episodes in, I still want to put out new episodes every week, but go back through the archives, check and see who's there, look and see who's been reforged. Seriously, there are some really awesome episodes back in the archives, and I do get quite a bit of spins on those today as well, even the episodes back from when it was the radio, which had more playlist-oriented stuff, and live bands in the studio, because the studio was set up for that. But anyways, I'm digressing here. But thank you all so fucking much for tuning in each and every week. Thank you for giving me your feedback. Thank you for sharing the posts. And by the way, if you're in the Louisville, Kentucky area, tomorrow, by the time I'm putting this show out on Friday, December 9th, tomorrow, Saturday, December 10th, the last Metal Forge live show event of 2022, featuring Rifle from here in Louisville, Kentucky. From Champaign, Illinois, we have Era Cobra and their first show ever, Halfcaster from Louisville, Kentucky, at the Mag Bar and on 2nd Street. And the cool shit about it is we are also going to have live art by Ryan Case and Russell Jackson. Super fucking rad people. We've been sharing this for about a month now. It kicks ass. I'm so excited for it. It's kind of the Festivus kick-ass end of the year show for the Metal Forge. And, but that's not all. We still have a few more episodes this year along, with Sinistrum. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you who to look forward to coming up. So, on 12/16, we have Garrett Neto from Sinistrum. We then have Toledo Steel. And then rounding out the end of the year, we have Crypt Rot. A couple of bands from the UK there coming on towards the end of the year. And on the 12/30 episode, we will have the year in review, where we will be much like the 200th episode, where we will have a heavy metal Wasteland and we will have a metal Mischief. So sweet ass, kick ass stuff. I am excited. Oh, and the top 5 albums from myself, Athena, and Jason. Super rad fucking times. I am excited. I mean, this has just been an amazing year for the Metal Forge. I have enjoyed everything, all the feedback that you all have given. I'm super happy with the way everything is. I'm super happy that I brought on Athena and Jason to do metal reviews and other stuff that they've done, you know, concert reviews, band history type stuff. This has been super kick-ass to me. So let's go ahead, let's get into this. Let's listen to some Split the Abyss. This is Envoy Redactivist. All right, metalheads. I have Woody Corsini from the band Split the Abyss from Cincinnati, Ohio here on the line. Dude, Woody, what is up?
Happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast today.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I've been watching you guys for, a while now, a couple of years, and it's just like, I really need to get these guys on here because, you all are a couple hours away from Louisville, and that's one of the things I've always liked about this area is Louisville is like 2 hours from pretty much not everywhere, but, the circle of everything, Cincy, Indy, Evansville, Nashville-ish, and we've got a pretty cool little circuit going on here.
I do agree. I certainly agree.
Hell yeah, man. So for the metalheads out there that have not heard of you guys, tell everyone about Split the Abyss.
Well, Split the Abyss, we've been around a good 10 years now. Started, I can't remember, it's a little hazy to me now. It was either late 05, early to mid 06. There was a chance encounter between me, my best friend, co-founder, guitarist, vocalist, Max Kessler, backstage at a high school production of Little Shop of Horrors. We just arbitrarily, that's the genesis of Split the Abyss right there. We just started an arbitrary conversation about arch enemy actually came up, and I was a senior, he was a junior, and we both just started basically eating lunch together every single day, talking about various stuff. He was a guitar player. I was an aspiring drummer. We just kept talking about bands and stuff like that. And eventually we just finally got together and just started jamming. Neither of us were really proficient enough to really cover anybody else's music. So after enough times, we just started writing our own stuff. And that eventually started becoming Split the Abyss. I'd say in our root sound, we are definitely a thrash metal band. I'd say we take a little more from the German bands, Sodom, Destruction, Crater. I didn't say the American bands. We started out earlier with a little more death metal influence in our sound. Over the course of 3 studio records now, a couple of EPs and singles, we're sort of getting more streamlined, a little more traditional thrash sounding. And we've had a fairly consistent run around here in the Midwest. We've done Cincinnati a ton of times. We've played Columbus. We've done Indianapolis, Fort Wayne. I know we've been down to Louisville and Lexington at least once or twice. We were able to get up to Cleveland once. We've played the Dayton area. We just dropped our last studio record, These Terrible Depths, January of 2021. And we currently have 9 new tracks written for our next as a unnamed studio album.
Wow, that is a lot to dissect here. So let's kind of take the show thing, the Little Shop of Horrors, really. That's kick-ass. I mean...
Yeah, we were both students at the Cincinnati School for Creative and Performing Arts. He was a sound guy. I think I was at the time doing scenery stuff. So yeah, it was just a total happenstance right there.
See, that's rad as shit. But I haven't got a chance to see you guys live in all of the places where you said you all had been. I haven't got a chance to actually see you guys. So if you were doing like scenery stuff, has that helped out your stage show?
Not really, no. Our stage show, probably all our careers, pretty much been pretty minimalist. Well, we did have a couple of like amp screens a while ago, but old logo design, we haven't used them probably in the last 5 years or so. It's been going forward, I think I'd like to think of something we could probably do in that way. I remember seeing Iron Maiden 2019, probably the single biggest production they probably had in the whole course of their career, and it certainly leaves an impression on you, and you want to try to emulate that in at least some capacity.
Well, for sure, and see, that's one of the things I've always sit there and said is, taking it to the next level is also creating that visual with it. You can sit there and have an amazing group of songs that you play in an amazing set, amazing albums, but if you look like you're just 5 dudes or 4 dudes or 3 dudes, depending on your lineup, on a stage, you got to give people something to look at too. And see, that's pretty damn cool, though, that, you know, you have a background in, like, scenery and stuff like that, because I'm sure if you ever did decide to do anything with it, you know, you've got the technical know-how to sit there and say, okay, well, I know, you know, like lighting effects and paint effects and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, but, well, I guess to answer your question, no, it has, as of right now, it hasn't really borne out in what we've done on stage. But if it counts for anything, I finally got our logo on my fucking kick drum heads this year. So it took me about 10 goddamn it took me 10 goddamn years to finally do it, but I finally got around to doing it.
You know, that's pretty funny too, because I'm in the same boat. It's like, yeah, we have amp covers and stuff like that and a backdrop, and like, it's like we keep talking about getting the bass drum head, you know, done, and it's like we never do it. So yeah, I totally get that. So you do have 3 full-length albums and an EP. As you said, These Terrible Depths came out in January of 21.
Yep.
So now we're coming on 2 years of that. You've got something new coming out. Of course, you did say it was untitled. I'm assuming it's untitled and unrecorded right now?
Yes, sir. We've, like I said, we got 9 new tracks written for. It's going to be another full-length record. I think the strategy right now is basically we want to just record the thing, get it mixed and mastered and everything. Then we're going to figure out what the title is, artwork, and everything else like that. We made a mistake with Depths a good full 2 years before we finally released it. We put the artwork out with the track listing, and then we just weren't able to follow up with that anytime for like 2 years. Like, everyone's asking us, like, is that out yet? I thought that was out yet, or something like that. You know, like, we had some logistical problems finally getting the album recorded, mix and master, making sure everything was edited right and sounds right and just coherent all around. We've made mistakes with that recordings in the past, so this time we just had to make sure it was going to take a while, it was going to be a pain in the ass, but we just had to make sure it sounded right, and we think the final product is the best we could have done.
Definitely. Well, and it did come out in January of 21. So, you know, when you said that it was a 2-year thing, you know, that's pretty stout, because it was also during the pandemic era too.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, well,
no, go ahead.
Well, but with us, I say that if we were to write the autobiography of this band, you know, it would be, I would title it maybe, you know, Setbacks and Logistics, because in July, I should say, of 2017, our my best friend, the co-founder of the group, Max Kessler, he moved to Los Angeles. And so basically for the better part of the last 5 years, it's been basically about weekly phone calls between myself and him, you know, basically trying to figure out, okay, what's going to be the next thing we can, like, you know, do this year. We've been averaging about 1 show a year since then. We were fortunate enough, in 2020, we were able to get 1 gig in, like, under the gate before the lockdowns really started happening. And I think it was January 20th of that year. And I remember I tracked drums in Indianapolis for Depths. Then Max was basically recording his parts and everything in like various locations in the Los Angeles area. And then we were like, let me go back. We were hearing the tracks back. You know, there's like, you know, some connections weren't made here. Some fills sounded out of place and stuff like that. So then we had to like stop back, you know, re-edit everything to make sure it all right, and vocal takes. Then we had to get mixed and mastered. Guitars had to get reamped. So it was just the whole process, you know, like herding cats in a way, just a snail's pace. But we got the final product, and we were able to. This is all self-financed, you know, independently produced and stuff like that. It's really just the 2 of us basically trying to figure out, okay, we got this done, now we got to line up this next part of the process. Then after we get that done, we got to line up the next part of the process. Finally get the physical product, finally get out, distribute it, like physical copies to us. It's in our hands, and then we can, like, you know, basically update our Bandcamp and just send it out and just, you know, be able to get physical copies to people and everything. So
Definitely. It is definitely a painstaking process, especially when you have members that are not all present at the same time.
Yeah.
Because of stuff like that. Then you're relying on, especially because he's in LA, there's a 3-hour time difference from us here in the Midwest. So, yeah, I mean, by the time, most people are going to bed here, it's only 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock there. So by the time, any text messages or whatever, unless you're staying up late hours, 1, 2 in the morning all the time, you're going to get everything next day. So absolutely. That's always been a thing that I've always been curious about, to work with people in other places, like the quote unquote, like bedroom project type stuff, because of stuff like that.
I know people always ask me, when's your next show? Like, what's the next thing we got in the works? Really, it's, if anyone's frustrated about it, I assure you, I understand. I'm very frustrated by it, and but we're always, like, me and Max are always in communication with each other, and it's always just, we got to be very strategic in what we're going to do next. So the agenda for next year is to definitely get the process started for recording the next studio record, and we're going to do everything we can to have that out in 2023, and probably, of course, get at least a couple more shows in for that year. It's been a learning curve with him being over there and me being back here in Cincinnati, trying to just figure out how we're going to make this work. But we've started a bit of a process now, like how we can at least write songs, get ideas down, and how compose everything. So we've got that down, I think, reasonably well, and now it's just a process of us, continuing that. I can tell you, we certainly are not lacking for ideas when it comes to new ideas for music, and it's just for us, it's ever since we started, it's been a constant process of refining our craft and how can we articulate our ideas better, and just don't be contribute to the overall global metal scene.
Definitely. Now, I'm not sure of your situation of in life and stuff like that, but has there been talks ever of possibly you relocating as well?
Yeah, that certainly is an option. That certainly is an option. I mean, it hasn't come up. I can't say it's come up, so that might happen. I don't know. I guess it's anything's a possibility.
Definitely. Because, like I said, that's an extremely hard thing to do, to have, 2,000 miles or more. Yep. I do know people who have been in the UK, and they've had members in the States, and, it's just wow. And I think that's really the thing now, especially after the pandemic. And you said this had started, what, in 2017 where he had moved, you said? Mm-hmm. Wow. See, yep. So you all have been doing this for 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So, I commend you guys for being able to do that, seriously, because that is no easy feat, I'm sure.
Well, I like to think we have a good thing going. I like to think, with us, we're on to something. We were really taken aback with the positive feedback we got for These Terrible Depths. Just people messaging us. We were getting very good reviews online for a couple of sources that did review us. And people, most shocking, we just got some random guys from down in South America asking share links to our music on their YouTube channels and stuff like that. We're like, sure, go ahead. We don't know. For the longest time, we've just been so far under the radar. It's man, we just didn't even know. And now all of a sudden, here we are, people we've never met are buying our merchandise, across, miles and miles away. And over in the UK, we actually have people over in the UK saying, "Oh, we thought that last record was one of the best things we heard in 2021." We're like, wow. Probably one of the most shocking things to us was somebody we know here in the Cincinnati scene. The day of his son's wedding, he took a photo of himself in a tuxedo at one of the local record stores here, where I dropped off copies of These Terrible Depths. He's like, I was at my son's wedding, but I went across the street and got a copy of the new Split the Abyss record. There he is in the record store in his tuxedo, with a copy of the record. What is it? I guess this might have been how Kiss felt with that one time when they went to that one town where everybody was dressing up as them, and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I mean, see that's the cool stuff is when people tag you in those pictures and stuff, and you're just like, wow, it makes you feel really good, and I totally get that. So with the writing and recording of the new album and everything, now playing shows, you said you've done about one show a year for the last couple of years or whatever because of distance for one, so it's logistically an issue. So would there be a possibility of maybe like a small tour next year?
That's something that might be in the agenda for the future. I don't know about next year, but the more we try to get ourselves organized and probably think long-term, we might try to do that sometime in the future.
For sure.
Anything's a possibility, that'd be something we'd like to do and put that feather in our cap, and even though maybe something is so ambitious as, eventually going overseas somewhere, we certainly would like to do that as well.
Definitely. And, you did mention the South America thing, which is totally fucking rad because there's so many, South American metalheads out there. And it is so, it's one of those niche places where you want to go tour, but logistically it is so hard for any band to actually tour in South America. Right. And, going back into reading things in White Line Fever and the Lemmy autobiography, how they talked about how difficult it was for them to get down there and tour when they had such a huge following. You got Rock in Rio and stuff where you see 150,000 people at one show. It's it's interesting.
It's quite the spectacle. They're very passionate down there, really dedicated to it. It's seeing how they react and stuff like that. And they're just, lining the streets, and they're just, really passionate about the music down there.
Oh, for sure. And, I want to do, because we're talking about South America, I do want to give a shout out really fast to the band Witch Trap from Colombia, who finally got to make it on their United States tour here earlier this month. So, holy shit, it's I wish they came somewhere close to here, but the closest they came was Atlanta, and it's fuck, I can't drive 8 hours for, one show.
Yeah, I did see. I've heard a little bit of their. I'm not really too familiar with them, but I have heard a little of their stuff. It sounds really fucking good.
Oh yeah, oh absolutely, it does. And they've been around for 35 years. So
wow.
Yeah, and so go for the listeners out there, go check the archives. I believe it was June of last year, maybe. I'm hoping it's not 2020. It might be 2020. It's one of those times. So, but hell yeah, man. So definitely looking forward to something new from you guys, and hopefully some more shows before too long as well. I mean, hopefully you get one in before the end of the year, because I will definitely be there.
We do have our last show of 2022 is going to be December 2nd, actually, up here in Cincinnati. We're playing one of our old haunts. Used to be called, it still is called Urban Artifact. They now sort of have a musical side called Radio Artifact. They've totally revamped their venue. It's all new sound system, new staging, just very, very nice, very classy. We're going to be there December 2nd.
Definitely. Hell yeah, man. So definitely looking forward to that, and hell yeah, we can actually get that on the books to come out. So yeah. Hell yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over here. I'm going to ask you some general profile questions about you as a person. And, these are just life questions. They're about anything you want it to be about. They're pretty whimsical in some respect. Okay. Do you put up a boundary to keep people out of a certain part of your life?
I'm a very painfully introverted person. Let's see, but about it to an extent, yes, but I'm never a person who will just, never not, listen to somebody, take a question or ask something. I guess if people expect me, be extended, vacation, or just, basically be around them for an extended period of time, at some point I'm going to get exhausted. I'm going to have to go somewhere to recharge. I guess I do have boundaries, but I'm also somebody who's, pretty amicable, I guess you could say.
Definitely.
I get to know a person. I get to know a person very well. I have a good rapport with somebody. I'm willing to I'm willing to do a lot for a friend.
Definitely, I get that. And yeah, I think being an artist, for the most part, most of us are introverted for as it is. And I think most of us too have like you were saying, how you were amicable with most people, almost to the degree of like, not necessarily people pleasing, but want to be to a certain degree, I guess. Is I guess where that is for me. So yeah, I totally get what you mean by that, dude. What upcoming life event are you excited about?
Well, I'm pretty happy about this show that's coming up. Not to be all too band-centric right now. Other than that, folks, I hate to sound pretty underwhelming here, but right now I'm just sort of a musician and neurotic album collector, and haven't really got too much life stuff to speak of right now.
Definitely. So I haven't asked this question for a while, so I'm going to go ahead and throw it in there because we are in the holiday season as it is. Thanksgiving or Christmas?
I do enjoy Thanksgiving. I might skew slightly toward Christmas because I usually get a good box of drumsticks right there, and that's always welcome. And also, kids, if you're listening right now, let me tell you something. The thing about getting older, you realize that happens when you get socks, and you're very enthusiastic about that.
Right. For the last 15 years, probably, for me, I'm just like, don't get me anything, just give me money so I can record with. That's always been my go-to. Just give me something that I can use for the band.
Exactly.
And they
exactly.
Never, and they never do. And they never do. What do you consider yourself an expert at?
Well, it's a very niche thing, but I think I can articulate the differences between Dave Lombardo's tenure and his approach to drumming in Slayer versus Paul Botstaff's tenure in Slayer and his approach to drumming in that band.
Very interesting. Yeah, because they do have for all intents and purposes, it is Slayer, so it has its sound. They have the Slayer sound, but they are different.
The best way I can articulate it is basically Dave Lombardo is the guy that always had his own particular style and approach to drumming. He's the guy you call if you want that particular kind of sound on your record. Botstaff, in contrast, not quite as fast, but I'd say more technical, and I think probably a little more he has the conventional sound. Basically, he's a guy if you have something specific in mind, you call him up and you bring him in. On his own stuff, and I'd say on more mid-tempo stuff, I think is where he kind of tends to shine a little more. Okay. Both of them. Whenever I'm comparing musicians and stuff like that, I think the first thing I got to account for is basically for me, do they cross a particular threshold first and foremost? And then when everybody gets over that particular threshold, the great musicians, so basically that's already established. Then I think the nuances sort of their individual playing styles, where their strengths lie. Maybe somebody's more in the pocket, somebody's more creative with fills, somebody maybe has exactly no idea about the overall composition in a part. But it's all about getting over that initial threshold, in my opinion. Definitely.
So a couple of big questions that I have regarding with what you just said. One is, what do you feel about certain players, not naming names, but put down awesome tracks in the studio, but then decide to pocket play live?
Don't understand what do you mean by that?
What are your thoughts on drummers who put down amazing tracks in the studio, but then revert to playing in the pocket live? And not doing the flashy stuff that they did in the studio?
Well, I'm sort of guilty of that myself in the past too. I'll even confess, the last record, there was more editing for my takes done than I probably would have liked. So it's not exactly what I played in the studio on the record. So it's something I had basically to relearn. You know, it's a pain in the ass. I can say I think what every musician should be at least trying to do, like, hey, do the best you can as close to the record. Definitely, you know, get the vibe, certainly, and don't just underperform or just, you know, try to half-ass what you lay down recorded and stuff like that. That'd be my initial take. You know, it varies from person to person, probably. You know, I'm pretty sure there may have been some guys, you know, back in the day, they probably had, you know, the enhancement of illicit substances that probably got them the performance they initially laid down or something like that. And they just can't recreate that, you know, without, you know, said substances. So there's kind of up a creek out of paddle. So, you know, what can you say? But overall, that's, you know, as long as you're making the effort, you know, meaning you don't have to get like every fill exactly the way it was, but, you know, you're just, you know, totally just, you know, just half-assing it and just, you know, not giving the, you know, appropriate feel to the studio, to the performance that, you know, people come to expect and so on, that, or at least have like, you know, the necessary live energy of a concert, which I think is sort of its own thing in its own right.
Definitely. And the other question I was going to ask regarding the Bostaph at Lombardo is, what do you think about Lombardo's addition to Testament?
Well, my two favorite Testament records are The Legacy and The Gathering. And I guess, you know, Lombardo being back, I saw them actually on the last Bay Strikes Back tour. You know,
I was there.
Well, if it couldn't be Gene Hoglan anymore, I guess, you know, you go with one of the other, you know, major, you know, icons of thrash drumming. So again, you know, there, you know, he's got his own particular, you know, style as opposed to Hoglan, but, you know, it's all about, you know, crossing that threshold. As I said before, you know, they both certainly are up there. I think, you know, it'll be interesting to see. I hope they can get a bit of that magic. They've got an airtight lineup now. Basically, there's nobody in there you can't say is like a bad performer. They're all. And so it all comes down now to the songwriting and, you know, what do they have in the tank now at this point? I thought Titans of Creation was a great record, so let's hope they can keep that momentum going.
Oh, definitely. And even on like you know, because I'm a bass player, and, you know, with Steve Giorgio on bass, you know, now it's so fucking awesome. And, you know, he even played on like the new Megadeth album.
Yeah.
So, you know, after they got rid of Junior. What is something you wish you spent more time doing when you were younger?
Well, I wish I picked up an instrument sooner than I did. I think I got my first drum set when I was 12 or 13, I want to say, maybe even later than that. So I only have like the musical beginning of, you know, they go like 9 to 10, you know, basically, you know, picking up an instrument for the first time and like slowly, progressively learning. And then the time I became a teenager, like writing my first songs and stuff like that, the you know, archetypal, you know, sort of musician origin story. So I guess if I was younger, I wish I like was, you know, started like a craft or a hobby sooner than I did.
Definitely. So when did you start drumming?
It sounds like an old man here. I can't really remember. It must have been early teenage years, I have to say, probably something like that. I remember just arbitrarily asked for. I just had an itch for the longest time. Could I get a drum set for Christmas? And that's how it started. I still have it too. It's a Tama Rockstar gunmetal metallic wrap. Single kick, 2 racks on the floor. I expanded to add another rack and another second kick drum. That's the one I still have today. Done all my recording, played all my Bis gigs with.
Nice. So that's awesome that you still have it. I mean, because I mean, shit, you know, I wish I still had some of my first instruments, but yeah, because it's always nice to see what you've started with and where you've become, where you've went, you know, and everything like that. Where do you go when you need to blow off steam?
Well, during the pandemic, most of this year, really, I've been sort of a bit of a homebody, to be honest with you. Mostly if I blow off steam, I'm back there in my house, probably streaming something, or I'm on the air the last few months. A game called Company of Heroes 2 has become a major obsession of mine. I'll be like, you know, it's on out here basically sending, you know, waves and waves of Russian conscripts against fortified German positions, games. So I guess that's what I sort of do to blow off steam these days.
Definitely. Yeah, I wish I was into gaming more, honestly, because, I've been the type of person where I just, I have to have like one thing that I'm doing. I can do multiple things, but like I get like really invested in one thing, and then I'm just like everything else becomes a distraction at that point. Like I used to play a lot of D&D, and then when I got my band together, when we started, it was just like, well, this is going to take up most of my time, so I can't do that anymore. It's going to be a distraction. I could be writing.
Yeah, I understand. Gaming kind of comes in like intervals for me. I'll be like doing it for a few months, then I'll like drop it for an indefinite amount of time before I finally pick it up again. I'm about a third of the way through the original Metal Gear Solid, and I just stopped at one. I've stopped at one point. I haven't touched it in like probably like 5 months now, so I need to eventually get back and finish it.
Oh yeah, same way. I bought a Switch a few months ago, and I was just like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And then I've played it like 12 times.
Right.
I did, as soon as I bought it, I replayed The Legend of Zelda from NES and beat it in like 4 days. And it was just like, well, shit. Now I guess I got to beat the Master Quest, which I never really did. So. What is the most creative excuse you've used to get out of doing something you didn't want to do?
I don't know if I'm very that creative with my excuses. I'll just probably say I'm not going to fucking do it, or I just probably pocket veto the task. I guess you could probably say just don't give a response at all.
Definitely, the pocket veto seems to work really well when you just don't. You just don't acknowledge it like it's just gonna go away.
Yeah,
I've done that several times. It's like, Mark, did you do this? And there's the dead air.
Yeah,
for sure. I totally get that, and I don't get excuses really either. Like, I overslept and I had a flat tire, and or I hit my neighbor's dog. It's like. I always am the one person to sit there and to think that if I give somebody a shit-ass excuse like that something much worse is going to happen, and it's like the boy who cried wolf kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's the way
I guess you could say I'm just too lazy to make up a lie, so I just say, couldn't do it. Can't be there.
Right. I get that. So I've got one more question, but before we do, as always, links are listed below, so please give a like, a share, and a follow. Please support these guys in any way you can. Go buy albums, go buy merch, do what it is you do, go to shows. Do you have any shout-outs you want to give before we go today?
Oh, well, I guess there's some people here in Cincinnati who have been very supportive of us. Will Feiner, Transplant Productions, booked us several great shows. He booked our last show with Auction Destroyer back in July. That was a great gig for us. We really wanted to open for those guys. I guess Justin Roth and Josh Murphy, the other thrash band in Cincinnati, War Curse, they've been very helpful to us over the past 5 years and so. Luke Sackenheim helped us track our last single. We re-recorded one of our tracks from the first album. He helped us get drums done for that, and helped. We actually had a few guest appearances on These Terrible Depths. He also helped engineer and get that stuff together for us. So Luke Sackenheim, Bum Ass Studios, great guy, great guitar player, and just all the other Cincinnati bands, and of course everybody in our fan base who we really appreciate, who's just been very supportive of us, clearly wants to see us play more music, write more music, and we're going to definitely continue to try to do that. Absolutely. And yes, definitely. Fucking always I'm always one to sit there and say that content is king, and the more stuff that people can put out means the more people that can get behind your music. And, because I often feel like no matter who it is, there's always pretty much something for everybody.
in music. And just because somebody doesn't like an album that you did doesn't mean they're not going to like anything that you do. So always strive for putting out new material and kicking fucking ass as much as you can. So final question of the day is, what is something that most people are afraid of, but not you?
Being a musician, does that count?
Maybe. I mean, you know, I guess the stage fright thing is always there. I know that mortifies some people.
I think there's also like all that you probably know, other people have said, basically playing music is like maybe 1/10 of the actual thing that goes into being a musician or being in a band or something like that. So there's a whole lot of like, getting on that like that 45-minute set. There's a whole lot of shit that goes on like prior to that you have to do to basically organize, promote, and just be willing to put yourself out there and stuff like that. The time you have to invest to learn the craft, and then there's also what the time you have to spend to learn and understand how to compose music and stuff like that, and listen to music and understand music sense, and just the trepidation part comes to be, you're putting yourself out there like such. It's your voice, your creativity. You have to open yourself up to criticism, feedback and stuff like that. It could be positive, could be negative, could be I don't know. I know basically it's high risk, low reward kind of profession sometimes, and basically some people will probably just look at this what you do in a band and stuff like that and wondering why the heck are you do that? And even sometimes I've sat and like, gee, why am I doing this again? But it's a part of the process
for sure. And I think
some people are like,
oh, go ahead.
I think some people just have a compulsion to do it maybe or something like that. Just but I really don't know. I can't articulate on that much more than I can.
Definitely. And, I think you're absolutely right about the high risk, low reward factor of it. And the 45 minutes that you're on stage is pretty much the end all be all result. And it's really a small portion of what actually goes on, because not only are you, the countless hours of writing and practicing, but you also got like all the countless hours of, travel time to shows, and, making checklists and itineraries, and, making a set that you think people will be into and involved with, and just even still going on like what the image you're going to try and cast on stages, and so many other things that when you actually get down to just playing, that's a small aspect of it. But yeah, I mean, I think that's really, that is, I agree. That is something that is frightening to a lot of people. And there's just so much extra work that goes into it that a lot of people don't really see. For sure. Dude, Woody, thank you so much for coming on to Metal Forge this week. This has been kick fucking ass. I have enjoyed this conversation. On our way out today, what do you want to play?
I think the track sent you. We have the title track from our last album, These Terrible Depths. It features a guest solo by Tony Bartham of Condition Critical, which is absolutely phenomenal. It's one of our favorite songs to play live, but people really seem to like the track too. So, want to play that for us, please?
Sure. As you heard him, this is from Split the Abyss. This is the title track off their latest album, These Terrible Depths. Hey, let me tell you guys about Mercenary Press. They're an independent London label and distributor of all things metal. Mercenary Press delivers the goods from their own independent zine. Trust me, you're going to want to get in on that. To distributing various bands from all over the world, including Cramp from Spain and Sadistic Force from Texas. Visit mercenarypress.bigcartel.com to find out what all they have in stock and what you can order. And for Metal Forge listeners, enter code MetalForge to receive a discount on your total purchase at mercenarypress.bigcartel.com. Check it out now. Since 2013, there has been a calling from the underground, from the graves of all those unholy, and they decided to make a zine to talk about all of this. Soulgrinder Zine, an independent metal zine to keep you informed on all things metal and horror from the underground. Available in both print and digital formats, they're bringing you the best interviews and reviews out there today. Not only do they do the zine, but they also do compilation CDs. Check them out at facebook.com/soulgrinder.zine and start your subscription now. Hey Metalheads, it's with great pleasure I get to tell you guys about a new sponsor to the Metal Forge, Ageless Art, New Albany. After 20 years of owning and operating Ageless Art in Clarksville, Indiana, Phil Garrett had a vision for a new type of tattoo studio. Something that is clean and modern, sleek, refined, inviting. And he's done just that with Ageless Art in New Albany. You can find it at 2736 Charlestown Road, New Albany, Indiana, 47150. Business hours are Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Sundays are 12 to 6. All sessions are appointment only, so give them a call and go get you some new ink. Or if it's your first time, go get your first one, baby. Hey everybody, let me tell you about the new sponsor to the Metal Forge, Unchained Tapes. They're an independent Pennsylvania tape label. They focus on extreme metal and punk with a killer approach to the tape scene. Visit their web store at unchainedtapes.bigcartel.com now to get your fill of tapes. And for being a Metal Forge listener, enter the code MetalForge10 at checkout to get a 10% discount on your total purchase. That's unchainedtapes.bigcartel.com.
Hey guys, Wasteland Steve of the Wasteland Steve Show here. So if you're currently listening to the Metal Forge with Mark Jackson, then you understand that Mark Jackson has a pretty discerning taste when it comes to music as a whole. You'll also understand that he has a discerning taste for professional wrestling, just like me. My show is called the Wasteland Steve Show. I talk about modern and classic pro wrestling in a completely unbiased, unfiltered way. Be sure to check me out on all available podcasting platforms. That is the Wasteland Steve Show. And I am the host, Wasteland Steve. Just remember, like Confucius said, man who goes through turnstile in Thailand is going to Bangkok. Pro wrestling.
It's Gonna Get Weird is the name of the podcast. We're on season 2, so you have a whole season to get weird with Frank Green and Scott Clark. The best part is there's always laughter.
Oh, yeah, you can pull that out.
We have national touring comedians, NFL stars, rock stars, your local friends. It always gets weird. Weird answers.
Have y'all ever snorted coke off of a 78 Pinto? No? You ain't no
man.
Weird questions.
Who had a bigger cocaine habit, Jock Sutherland or Kaywood Ledford?
Neither one, because they stopped beating their wives.
And weird we never even thought of.
Well, no. My friend is on acid, and I sent my friend to go find a payphone so that I can call and turn myself in for murdering this guy and ruin my life.
We love all types of people, but we don't love all people.
Weird. It's Gonna Get Weird is the name of the podcast, available everywhere. And thank you to Big X Sports Radio for being a proud sponsor of It's Gonna Get Weird. Frank Green, Scott Clark. Yeah.
Hey, thank you all for tuning into this week's episode of The Metal Forge. I want to take a minute to remind you guys about the Patreon page. Over on the Patreon page, we have the tiers set up to support the production of the show. We feature the Down and Dirty, which is just $1. There's nothing special for that one, it just sends me a thank you because every dollar helps. Then there's the Double Down and Dirty. Much akin to the Down and Dirty tier, everything helps produce the show in the end. You make your presence known, and I appreciate that more than you realize. Thank you for being a dedicated friend and supporter to the Metal Forge. By selecting that tier, you will receive some cool Metal Forge stickers in your mailbox. Now, we're really going to start pounding the metal madness with the Apprentice Metalhead for just $5 a month. By becoming an Apprentice Metalhead, you'll be given early access to the shows, published 24 hours before everyone else gets it. You're also going to receive 3 entries in any contest that we do here at the Metal Forge. You're also going to receive a 10% discount on all Metal Forge merch, and you're going to receive a sweet Metal Forge patch for your battle jacket or backpack. And now, here is the big one. This is the Master Metalhead for just $10 a month. By becoming a Master Metalhead, you will receive a hand-numbered Metal Forge Master Metalhead membership card. You're going to be given early access to the shows as well, with 36 hours before everyone else. You're going to receive 5 entries in any contest that we do here at the Metal Forge. You'll be able to submit audio questions that I will use on the show of you asking questions to the upcoming guests. Remember, timing is everything, and you will need to keep up with the upcoming guest list on the website. You're also going to receive advanced knowledge of any new merch coming out and be given a 25% discount on all Metal Forge merch. And you're also going to get all of the other rewards from the other tiers. So visit patreon.com/Metal Forge Radio today and help support the Metal Forge. Rock on.